Seamus Show, everybody. I'm your brother Seamus. This track you're hearing right now is it's called Stimming, S-T-I-M-M-I-N-G. Or no, sorry, that's the band. That's the band. Stimming is the band. The track is Sunday Morning. My apologies. Let me give you a closer look. Sunday Morning from the album Reflections. Composer Martin Stimming. Oh, that's just his last name. WKDJ Augment Publishing. Producer Martin Stimming. Let's see, features of this song. These are my favorite features, I'll admit. Techno roots, 4 on the floor beats, electronica influences, beats made for dancing, and unsyncopated ensemble rhythms. Unsyncopated ensemble rhythms. So that is stimming. That's what young Martin Stimming sounds like, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll enjoy it. I'm playing it without proper authorization, so I'll probably get some kind of strike, some sort of copyright strike. Levels look good. This is the final of 3 hours of live broadcasting by yours truly, Brother Seamus. Shall we recap? Let's recap. Enjoying this music right now, so you might have to wait. Let's recap in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
I'm gonna make you feel it. What's on my mind? What's on my mind?
This is What's on My Mind by Shiba-san.
I'ma do it.
That's probably enough copyright infringement for the day. So let's do a recap. I believe the Constitution of the United States guarantees women a right to an abortion. I believe that the words life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness include the very most basic definition of life, which is to not be killed through malicious neglect. When you walk into an emergency room and you're bleeding to death, or you're overcome with infection, and we have the means to help you, but the doctors will go to jail if they help you stay alive because of that guy. She died, leaving a child behind because of that guy. They made the law. Well, Greg Abbott signed the law. Let me be clear about what I'm saying here. Greg Abbott signed the law that led to their preventable deaths. So and let me make clear what my call to action here is. My call to action is that you should vote Greg Abbott, Brian Kemp, Kay Ivey, the governor of Idaho, whose name I don't know, vote him out of office because they signed a law, and he enforced it. Ken Paxton is actively enforcing this law that kills otherwise healthy young women. Are they directly responsible? I don't think we can argue that they caused the death in the immediate sense, but they helped create and maintain legislation that violated the most basic constitutional rights of these young women and their families. So these two gentlemen, in my opinion, have violated their constitutional right to life by elevating the life, and this is going to upset some people, but it has to be said because we have to stop, pardon my French, we have to stop pussyfooting around. Because the life of an undeveloped human, a non-fully developed human, now takes precedent over the life of a fully developed, healthy young woman who's having a miscarriage. Now we can't keep her alive anymore because somebody's religious beliefs, I know you don't like to think of it that way, but it's a religious belief that's been forced into law. The religious belief is that life starts at conception. And that's a lie. And I'll go you one better. I think most of the people pushing that idea, many of them believe it. Many of them believe it. They're like, well, sperm gets in the egg and it's all taken care of. It's like, yeah, but that's not a person. You can say life starts at conception. You can say life started inside a man's testes when he was producing the sperm. It's all life. It's not a question of life. It's a question of when does a developing egg, when does a fertilized egg that slowly develops over time become an actual full-fledged person? And the lie is that it's a baby from the outset. And I know this is rough for people to hear, but this is the crux of my point of view. The idea that it's a baby, put that word in quotes, is where a lot of the problems come from. So what's happening with the laws in Georgia and Texas and Alabama, if you're just joining us, if you're a woman having a miscarriage, which happens, from my understanding, don't quote me on this, but somewhere around 1 out of 8 to 1 out of every 10 pregnancies will have some form of a miscarriage, some form of difficulty, some form of situation, medical situation that renders the pregnancy not inoperable. It'll cause termination of the pregnancy, ultimately. Pregnancy is a dicey game. I'm not a woman. I haven't been pregnant. I won't be pregnant. I don't have a uterus. But I did grow up with a mother who told us glorious tales from the labor and delivery room. My lights are, they're set to disco. Hang on one sec. I guess I could play a little bit of music for you. Where did all the music go? Let me put on my own beats. I think that is enough copyright infringement for a day. This is the regular Brother Seamus beat. I hope you'll enjoy it while I fix my lights. Stay put, everybody. We're going to do one more hour, although we're already 16 minutes into our hour, and then I got to get out of here. I got to go watch The Big Lebowski. And that's something I take, let me tell you, I take it pretty darn serious. That's about as good as it's going to get there, people. Thanks for joining us, if you just joined us. I'm your brother Seamus. I like to bathe. I like to bathe in the black hole with lasers. Let's see if I can get you a shot of the black hole here. It was a generous gift from my auntie. There's the black hole, ladies and gentlemen. I like to stand inside the black hole when I'm broadcasting. My lights are still a little shimmery. They're changing a little bit. I can't seem to find the sweet spot on the lights, so I'm just gonna have to let it fluctuate. I hope you're having a good night. We don't have to talk about abortion. I'm gonna leave the sign up though, just because it seems like the right thing to do. There's kind of a difference between supporting something and then actively engaging in something. So I've set myself the task of actively engaging in what I would loosely refer to as social justice issues, or anything that gets close to this word genocide. And this may be, by comparison to other genocides, the genocide against young American women who live in red states. It may be small by comparison, but I don't know if there's a lower cutoff for what qualifies as genocide. So, but I do think that's what it is, and I think human rights are at the core of doing what I think the Jesuit priests were teaching me to do, which was to defend the defenseless and to bring justice to everyone regardless. If that's what it is, then we have to defend women who are being denied basic medical care. You're required to defend them, even if you don't agree with abortion. That's an important point, and I want you to know that will be on the exam, so you better study. You don't want to fail my class again because it gets tougher each time. No, I'm just kidding. It gets easier each time. There's not much light in the room right now, but I kind of like that, because why do we need to see everything all the time? Why can't we enjoy a nice silhouette or a nice washed out bald white guy? There it is. I'm coming back. I'm coming into focus. So the sperm enters the egg, right? Or so I'm told. The sperm enters the egg, and the genetic code is there. And a lot of people get hung up right there. And so let me give you a Brother Seamus take on this, okay? You're getting hung up on the genetic idea that that's somehow all you are, is a genetic code. There's a whole lot more to it. A genetic code doesn't have an opposable thumb, right? If I'm in the wood shop and I whack off the tip of my pinky, as almost every wood shop person I've ever known, they all have a little bit of finger missing here and there. Your genetic code is in the tip of that finger that a little dog just ran away with. Should that life be protected because it has my genetic code? I know a lot of people don't like to think about this, but until the fetus develops to such a point that it has the ability to have some conscious thought, then nobody's home. So even if nerve impulses are traveling and a heart is beating, there's nobody home. No, I'm not saying you should wait until 6 months, but what I'm saying is there is no one there to take the message, and it only begins, that part of the brain only begins to develop after 6 months. And depending upon who you like to read, I read a very limited survey of the research, but what I found out was it doesn't start until at least 6 months, and then they disagree about when a fetus becomes a person, essentially. And some say not until 8, 9, even 10 months sometimes. Now, I know that's kind of alarming, but what I'm getting at is there's nobody home. But we've played a mean trick on ourselves, and we've had a lot of help playing the trick. The trick we've played on our own mind is that we anthropomorphized the fetus. We said, oh, it's a baby. I know this is hard to hear, but I have to say it. I'm your brother Seamus. I'm here to bring the truth. I have to bring the truth. I don't want to bring the truth, brah. But we pretend it's a baby, even though there's no conscious thought. I would argue that conscious thought is what the idea of a soul really is. When people say the soul enters the body, there's no way to prove any of that. There's no way to measure a soul. That's made up. It's a made-up concept. It's fun. I like the idea of a soul, but it's made up. It's pretend. It's fake. It's fanciful. So that's the soul. It enters the body. At that point, there's a pilot inside the airplane. That's my favorite metaphor. There's a pilot inside the airplane. But we started to pretend it was a baby, and then the lie that was told, and this really upsets people, but it's a lie. The lie is that abortion kills babies, when in fact abortion saves women. I had some guy yell at me from his car. I was on my bicycle, and this guy was like, he was real agitated. And he was like, you think you're such a cool guy, or you think you're such a big man killing babies? Because I had a sign on my bike that said abortion. Actually, it was that sign back there. Let's go this way. That's the exact sign that was on the back of my bike. And this guy said, you think you're a big man? And I said, excuse me, sir, or something. Oh, no, he goes, you think you're a big man killing babies? Does that make you feel real big? And I said, as calmly as I could, but we were in traffic. And he was up in front of me to the left, and he's looking back over his right shoulder, and he's really going, yeah, you think you're a big man? Yeah. And I was like, they're not babies. That's all I said. And then he just went like, it took him a second. I do think he thought about it. But he was being a little scary. So I'm ready for flight. If he started getting out of the car, I was going to get the hell out of there. But he went, you're bullshit, man. And he just started yelling at me. And then the light turned green, and he took off, and he like floored it. And here's the thing, I have sympathy for him. The sign on the back of my bike is for some people genuinely upsetting, and I totally understand that. I have been a psychologist for 30 years, people. 30 years. It's a lot of psychologizing. It's not that bad though, because I started working part-time when I was in my 30s. I wasn't going to do full-time ever. But now I can do more Brother Seamus kinds of activities. Or, that was the reason I didn't go full-time. So, that's the gist of my show. And sometimes people comment, and a lot of times people don't comment, and I don't know if the counter is right. In the TikTok live studio, I don't know if it's actually showing me what's going on, but let's lower these filters just a little bit on this camera. Why don't we? That's a lot. It's pretty bright. Let's bring it down. Let's bring down the gamma. There we go, that's a little better. Get some of the stars in the background. Ooh, interesting. I think that might do it. Oh, there we go. Ooh, I like that. Maybe even a little bit less. There we go. So, that's my basic sermon. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to keep these. I learned a little trick if you're going live on the TikToks. If you keep it right under an hour, you can take that live recording and just post it. You can post it right on in. It takes a minute. You just got to go find the live recording. You can find it on your phone, and I did finally find it inside TikTok Live Studio. Just click on the live studio thing or the live center, and you'll see, I think they hold your recordings for 30 days, but if it's under an hour, you can say upload, and it takes a lot of processing, So I wouldn't do it unless unless you have a pretty fast phone, or if you're doing it on your desktop or laptop or your pad or whatever. But it uploads it. It's real nice. I'm actually getting a little bit hoarse, which is funny. Maybe I finally found my limit for talking. Apparently it's 2.5 hours. That seems reasonable. I should say, just for the record, I don't really blame anyone for being tricked by the abortion question, and I have great empathy. I have great empathy for women who go through a miscarriage, especially the women that were really looking forward to having a child. So, and I'm not trying to say the grief is not real. The grief is definitely real, but it's the grief of what was going to be. It's the loss of a future experience. And I know this is a sensitive area, but the grief is real, even if what we were talking about wasn't a fully formed person. The loss of who that person could have been is quite real. But I think it's a little bit dangerous psychologically to spend too much time anthropomorphizing, especially in the first trimester, which is really, I think, where a lot of stuff can go sideways. And it's an imperfect system. I think that's maybe one of my most important points. Humans that can bear children are in for a 1 in 10 chance of having something go wrong. Maybe more than that, depending upon their age and their background and whatnot. So, to say to an 18-year-old woman, oh no, we can't treat you here, go to another emergency room. Oh, we're sorry you're having a miscarriage, you need to go to another emergency room. And by the time she gets to the third emergency room, it seems like the die have already been cast, right? It's death through intentional neglect. And the real kicker is they wrote it into the law. They wrote into the law that you can't provide life-saving care only to women who may or may not have a quote-unquote baby inside them, but because a strong religious preference inserted itself into the government then decided to violate the constitutional right to life of the mother. The future possible mother should have at least the same amount of rights. But they don't. They now have less in certain states, and it's not going to work, people. It's not going to work. It's politically, you're walking off the plank. Brian Kemp, Greg Abbott, Kay Ivey, governor of Idaho, his name I don't know. You're walking the plank politically because you're participating in a very quiet but a very noticeable genocide. It might take 2 years, and Brian Kemp might, in the most cowardly way possible, fire the entire board that looks into the preventable deaths. By the way, Brian, it's sometimes it's not passing the bill, it's trying to cover up that you passed the bill. That's going to make you look worse. So respectfully to all governors who are considering this, you are going to destroy your career with it, and it's what you'll be remembered as. You'll be remembered as the governors who started killing women through legislation. What do you want me to do? Pretend like that's not true? Do you want to keep pretending like that's not true? So that's what we're all about here, the Brother Seamus Show. I will try to go in and out of, the more serious points, but if you go to our TikTok profile page, there's a link where you can buy our new Proud Snowflake coffee mug if you want to support good old Brother Seamus. Let me give you a look-see at it. That's one of the young women that has died as a result of this botched legislation. That's Neve. She died because they wouldn't give her the emergency medical treatment she needed. Is that not a violation of her rights? How come the embryo has more rights? I'm just asking. You can follow us on Facebook. Humans for Democracy is the host of the Brother Seamus Show. So if you're on Facebook, come over to Humans for Democracy and say hello. And we're on YouTube. Also, same handle, Brother Seamus Show. But yeah, buy a shirt or something, or subscribe. I need 100 more subscribers and I'll hit 1,000. And then I think I've heard that magic happens once you hit 1,000 subscribers. So, I'm not opposed to some magic. Okay, I think that's all I've got for you. I really like this lighting setup. We'll have to do this again. The lasers look nice tonight. Unfortunately, we didn't get any comments, but maybe down the road. I used to get a bunch of comments, and then it's kind of died out lately. And I think maybe some of it is people just want to watch, and they don't want to have to argue, and that's fine with me. I'm going to preach about abortion, but I'll also try to do other things so that we don't have to constantly keep our mind on really heavy topics, even though we should not forget. If you're troubled by this attempt, this last gasp for white male puritanical control, if you're troubled by it, I would say a couple things. One, disengage for a while. You don't have to be engaged every minute. This broadcast you're hearing, this public access TikTok, YouTube, digital broadcast that you're hearing is, in some ways part of the problem. Like maybe decide for a couple months you're going to dine on only comfort food. And I would say stay away from social media as much as you can, but if you're going to be on it, don't go down the rabbit holes. It's so easy to do. Of course, I understand, but I would say that's my best advice, is just get away from it for a while. Go into a state of active denial. And I would have never said that before, but hey, these are unusual circumstances, people. These are unusual circumstances. So let's keep telling everyone that abortion saves women. Let's keep telling them that, and then let's remind men and women that it's much better to live in a world where everyone receives the same level of medical care, regardless of whether you have a uterus or whether you have a penis. I wonder if I'll get in trouble for saying those words. I'm using them without hyperbole. I'm using them in a educational manner, I would argue. persuasive educational manner. But get away from it. Get away from it. Turn it off. And really, everybody, ever since COVID, I'm sure this has been bad. You got to go outside and walk around, especially if you live up north where there's not much sunlight. You got to move the body. Move the body. Ah. All right, let's turn this up. Turn this beat up real quick. I'm talking about moving the body, and I'm playing some music that's pretty sedate. Let's see, let's get it up over here. Let's crank up our beats per minute. We're at 100. Let's get it up to 120. Oh, maybe 30. Let's go to 30. That's pretty good. All right. Should we re-stretch? Let's re-stretch our channels. So yeah, get outside, people. Get outside. Go for a walk. It's really, I know it sounds like a cliche thing to say, but man, being sedentary really does a number on your neuropsychiatric balance. You go out if it's cold, you go out in the cold and make yourself walk around for 20 minutes and come back, you'll be like, damn, I did something. It feels good. But then when you're get your rest, get away from politics, and just tell your friends, like, hey, you know what, I cared too much, I gotta step away, I'll step back when I'm ready, and then come back when you're ready, and come to the Brother Seamus show, and maybe ask a question and comment, or just hang out and listen. No hate speech, no bullying of anyone. I see the most bullying online right now being directed at trans people. I feel like there's this kind of feeling like they can't really defend themselves. There's a smaller number of them, and it's a tiny fraction of folks. But they get picked on a lot, and that's not allowed here. No hate speech about any human or group of humans. How about that? I'm trying to encompass it all into one single phrase. And hey, maybe if we cooperate, maybe what we're learning is that to move forward as humans, the only way we're going to make it is if we learn how to cooperate again. And I think social media has in many ways destroyed our ability to connect, because it allows us to be awful to each other. It does simultaneously and in contradiction allow really good groups of people to connect. And since we're probably not going to get rid of social media, let's use it to connect good people, nonviolent people, who don't want to be bullied by billionaires and who don't want religious extremists killing our daughters by denying them the standard of care in state-of-the-art American hospitals. That's the state of our situation, people. This is your brother Seamus. We probably should talk about this stuff. But get your rest first. Get your rest and come back when you're ready. I'll probably be here. Or I'll get tired and take my rest. We'll see what